Dear Void, my previous video got comments that I should have expected, but I was still surprised by them. In my previous video, I talked about Raymond Ibrahim, who is a Christian scholar with a background in history, who talks a lot about Islamic conquest of Europe and the bad history between Islam and Christianity and the Crusades. Now, I don't really know his work that well. I viewed a few of his videos and I happened to come across him doing an interview in a podcast, and that was what I was responding to. And in my video, I said that I agree with 80% of what he says. I said Islam was forced on the Middle East through barbarism, and I said he was right to illuminate these things. But I also said that his claim in that specific interview that Islam is the cause of the Dark Ages is categorically incorrect, because in fact it was the fall of the Western Roman Empire and the rise of the Catholic Church that plunged Europe into the Dark Ages. And I gave some dates and evidence to support this view, and honestly, I didn't really think it was such a controversial point. It wasn't even the main point of my video. I just used it to demonstrate that while Ibrahim is very interesting and insightful in many things he says, he seems to have a clear agenda and he bends the truth to it when he needs to. And the real point of the video was that in his defense of the Crusades, he disregards what they did to us Jews and how Christians view our homeland as rightfully theirs, much like the Arabs do. All in all, I thought my video was pretty balanced and fair. But I got quite a few angry comments from his devoted followers, who immediately blamed me of defending Islam. Immediately reacted as if they just heard a blue-haired, multi-gendered, far-left Hamas supporter lecturing them about multiculturalism. I was accused of supporting the people who want to kill me, or some just acted like idiot children having a tantrum and left stupid comments that just said, "No, you're full of shit, this is not true." That's it. I do enjoy these deep, well-argued debates with the elite, the professors of the internet, you know. Now, first of all, I do realize that this is partly YouTube's fault. I mean, the algorithm suggests my video to someone who's never seen any other video of mine, and I am talking from the context of everything that they've said before, which is why I think the regular viewers of this channel would, well, I think the regular viewers of this channel could probably do better, but also I think that they would find it extremely funny that people thought I'm defending those who want to kill me. But this is an argument I had with people throughout my life. The template of the argument, I mean. The content changes from place to place and time to time, but the template stays always the same. What we have here is the psychology of religious people, which I think is very common, in fact, wired into the human brain, which is a big part of why I stopped participating in the religious versus atheist arguments. Because most people never stop being religious. They just trade one religion for another, even if the new thing is not defined as a religion. And as in the case with all religions, it's not about the details or the subtleties or the truth. It's about dogma. It's about the manifesto. And I dared to divert from it. I wasn't protecting Islam. I said Islam was forced on Europe by barbarity. Not much of a defense. But I'm not going to say that Islam is the cause for the Dark Ages, because that is simply not true. I don't care that saying that serves your agenda. I don't care that you think that me speaking out against it serves theirs. I care about the truth. I used to have the same exact argument with my fellow Israelis whenever I brought up the occupation. And I would have people telling me, the Jews cannot occupy Judea. I'm not talking about that. I'm not disagreeing with you about historical facts or even the fact that the Palestinians are a scam. I'm talking about the fact that civilians were placed under military occupation. That's a fact. That's the truth. I'm not going to pretend that didn't happen. And that was what I was objecting to. Doesn't mean that I was willing to, let them take over Tel Aviv. And That's the thing about religious thinking, about dogma, about tribalism. It blocks a very important skill that many people seem to have lost these days: holding two thoughts at the same time. Yes, I'm very much a Zionist. No, I don't think we should have people under military occupation. Two thoughts at the same time. Yes, transgender people have an actual well-documented condition and should be accepted as the people they feel they are. No, not every man in a dress looking for attention or to escape prison after raping someone is actually trans. Two thoughts at the same time. And yes, Islam did conquer the Christian world, and they did horrible things, which included torture, slavery, and other horrors. But no, they did not bring about the intellectual decline of Europe, which we call the Dark Ages. That honor belongs to the Catholic Church. Two thoughts at the same time. I'm not going to say something untrue just because it serves an agenda or because it's the prescribed opinion I'm supposed to have as it was dictated in my manifesto by my team. And by the way, we seriously have a problem of stupidity in the world. I've spoken about this before, but seriously, like some of those comments are just so dumb. I'm not even talking about the actual content. I'm talking about having the comprehension skills of an 8-year-old. Now, this is the internet. It's very possible I was speaking to someone with actual disability, but I've seen this kind of inability to reason too many times to believe that I'm starting to believe that is the average. I mean, okay, I did have one cringe experience with this obvious kid who actually said to me in a comment, "You should not say that, my young Padawan." God, I just made myself cringe again. This is so sad. By the way, for those who don't know, a Padawan, that's a reference to Star Wars. This kid is one of those kids who get bullied a lot and they kind of deserve it. You know what I mean? Like, there are kids that you hear about them being bullied and you get angry at the bullies. And then there are kids where you see them and you go, yeah, okay, I get it. I mean, you shouldn't do it, but I get it. He is definitely asking for it. So yeah, one of those. Then you have people who just seem to have trouble with basic comprehension. Like, look at this guy. First, he starts by suggesting that theological persecution does not stop scientific progress. Which, right there, you're thinking, okay, that's a limited IQ, but you give him the benefit of the doubt. Then he goes on to say, I'm a hypocrite because in my video I pointed out that the Catholic Church was limiting people's access to knowledge, and one such tool was to forbid translating the Bible into local languages. Now, I'm a hypocrite because Muslims denounce any translation of the Quran, which they don't, as authoritative. Whatever he means by that. Now, before I go to my answer, the thing to notice is that this guy assumes that I'm saying Islam is better than Christianity. And again, I remind you, this is based solely on the fact that I said Islam didn't cause the Dark Ages. This is how religious minds work. I diverted from the established dogma for 1 second, 1 centimeter. I diverted from the dogma that he holds, which is everything bad is Muslim, everything good is Christian. And since I diverted from it, the only possible explanation must be that I follow the rival dogma of everything Muslim is good, everything Christian is bad. So he assumes I'm trying to establish Islam's superiority, and that's why it's hypocritical of me to mention the church forbidding translations when it's relevant to the subject, but not to talk about this imaginary Muslim objection to them, even if it's not relevant. Anyway, I replied that I don't know where he got the information from because the Quran has been translated to over 100 languages. Not only is it not forbidden, Muslims encourage it. They just think that the Arabic version is the more beautiful and, let's say, the more official one. I also pointed out that the church's persecution of people for their scientific achievements is well documented, from Leonardo to Galileo. He replied with quoting a passage from the Quran that supposedly shows that imaginary ban of translations. I said that passage is from Surah Yusuf. and only says that the Quran was given in Arabic so that Muhammad may understand it. There's nothing there about translations being banned or less or anything. And his reply was, you do know that the surah is part of the Quran, right? So this is from the Quran. This guy thought that me identifying the surah it's from somehow indicates that I don't know that surahs are chapters from the Quran, and that on that detail alone he wins the argument. Not on the actual content of the passage, which, as said, says nothing about banning translations. Now, I don't know. Maybe I should have just banned him right there and, be done with it. Because I'm sure many of you are thinking, okay, yeah, the guy obviously has a condition. But I've met too many idiots to think that myself. I think it's far more common than people realize. He also at one point said that Da Vinci was persecuted for being gay, as if that like a flex, and not for his scientific achievements. And I said it was true that his enemies tried to expose him as gay because they knew the church would either kill him or imprison him for it. But it was his notebooks with autopsies and stuff like that that got him into trouble. I then said that he also had to hide some of his discoveries. For example, he had a passage in his notebook about geology, which he observed and he believed it indicated that the earth has changed and places that used to be underwater were now on land. This would have been seen at the time as heresy, because the doctrine was that God created the entire earth as is. So my point was that this was the atmosphere the Catholic Church has created, making it impossible to exchange or explore new ideas, which is what blocked progress and science. His reply to that was that Leonardo da Vinci was not persecuted for science because they never found the notes in his notebook that I said he had hidden. And yeah, I know. At this point you're like, okay, this guy is either trolling you or he is suffering from a condition, which is pretty much what I said in my next comment, and I ended it there. But this is just an extreme example of a real and common problem that we have. And that is that to many people, the dogma is much more important than the details, than the truth. I just saw a video of this anti-Israeli Muslim family visiting Jerusalem, and throughout the video, all of their assumptions are being broken, but they never change their minds. They say when you are Muslim and you come to Israel, they bother you and then you stay for hours at the airport. And the next clip is literally the guy goes, well, that was easy. It took 5 minutes. We answered a couple of questions and we're out. And this goes on throughout the video. Like they go to Al-Aqsa and they say, well, the Jews give problems to people. They turn people away. They might shoot us. And then the next scene is the guy goes, yep, that was it. They just let us pass and everything's okay. But the tone never changes. Throughout the video, he keeps bringing up his hate and how difficult it is to Muslims in this apartheid state. And as he says it, you see him traveling all around with Arabs around here, with businesses, in business suits, with street signs that are both in Hebrew and Arabic. And everything is so easy for them. And everybody is like, yeah, life is good. And it's surreal. Nothing changes for him. This guy has been programmed so thoroughly, he does not believe his own eyes and ears. He experienced the fact that his beliefs are lies firsthand, but he still keeps them. That's a cult mentality. In uni, I studied Western philosophy and religious studies, and one course I took was this introduction to social psychology with some focus on cults and religious and dogma. And we have quite a few studies that establish how easy it is to program people so thoroughly that they completely disregard reality. At that point, like I usually say about Western anti-Semites, you are not talking to a person. You are talking to a brainwash surrounding an empty shell. Facts won't matter. And this is how debates go now many times on the internet, whether it's religion or political camps or even history or even the scientific community. This postmodern my truth versus the actual objective truth is the bane of modern times and should be fought wherever we see it. But I don't know that it can be fought, because I think a big part of the population is just wired that way and will never be able to change it. And here's the scariest thing. Those idiots can vote. Take a moment to really appreciate that. This numbskull was what I was talking about, who can barely follow a simple conversation, is allowed to participate in decisions that change the lives of millions. And you know what? I think it's time for us to stop and reconsider some things. Two thoughts at the same time, people. Yes, I believe in democracy, but also, maybe just like we don't let blind people drive because they'll hurt people, maybe we shouldn't let idiots vote. Just a thought.